Thank you for tuning in to VP Ensemble's Quick Flick series, You Have Time to Support a Small Business. I'm your creator and host, VP Ensemble, and I'm sitting here with an amazing gentleman with hella jokes. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
What's going on? I am what most people call big hands, little fingers, flat-footed Joe, but my mama named me Jason. This is the Jason Experience.
Awesome. So what got you started with the Jason Experience?
So comedy, I always was into entertaining. My mama was basically breeding me to be an entertainer. I was actually acting before I was doing comedy, but I was doing a lot of comedic acting. Out of nowhere, on the set of a movie that I don't know if we're going to be able to say the name on here, so I'm not going to say it. But I was on the set of a movie. It was a big movie. You can see me if you pause it at a certain point. And I was sitting there with some other comedians and extras holding. So we basically got paid to do absolutely nothing that day. We were just sitting there for like 8 hours, and they was like, y'all can go home. But I needed a ride home because the person who dropped me off was asleep at that time. So the person who gave me the ride home happened to be another comedian. He was like, dude, you're funny. You need to get on the stage. I was like, I kind of want to. But I don't even know where to start. So he was like, man, just come with me. I'll give you some stage time. I'll show you where to go and all that. And, so I followed him, went to his place. It was out in Novi. It had very few people in the crowd, but he did his thing. He was like, this is the place you need to start your comedy at. And so, like, next week, 2 weeks later, I signed up for the open mic. And that's what got me started.
So you do only stand-up comedy?
I do stand-up comedy. I do skits. I do sketches. I write. I produce shows also. I produce comedy shows also. But, yeah, overall, that's the whole purpose of calling myself the Jason Experience is I do quite a few things, but it all comes back to comedy.
So, how long have you been doing, like, the Jason Experience?
I believe since 2014, 2013 actually. Now I think about it, because I remember has nothing to do with each other, but my hair and my comedy have the same age. So I started growing my hair out the same year I started doing comedy. I remember 2014, my daughter was born. I had little B2B dreads looking like Professor Ogilvy while I was holding her in her baby pictures.
So we know it's a lot of comedians, and a lot of people are typically scared because you have like Eddie Murphy, you have Bertie Mac, Steve Harvey, you had a lot, and they have set such a way for comedians, especially like upcoming comedians who are trying to get where they're at. So do you find anything like discouraging on being on this journey, trying to be a comedian, trying to get acts, especially during this pandemic?
Because of COVID, yes. Prior to COVID, not so much. My whole mentality was if I can't get stage time, I'm going to make stage time. And that's where becoming a producer of comedy shows came in. I just randomly called up to a bunch of random restaurants, bars, and said, hey, do you want a comedy show? You want a comedy night? And I finally got one that said they wanted a comedy night. So I'm like, cool. If I can't get on the stage that somebody else has, I'm just going to find a stage and make it myself. And I had ran that show for about 2 years or something like that, 2-3 years. And by that time, I was known well enough, or I did enough people the favor of getting on my stage that I was able to get on other people's stages. COVID made things very difficult because all we really have is online shows, which is difficult to understand if people are really feeling you or not, because there's that delay on Facebook. So, like, you'll tell a joke and you won't get the laugh emoji until, like, 2 seconds later because it's, like, a delay. Plus, if you don't got your comments enabled, you got to swipe the screen, whatever. But it's just basically you have no idea. And one thing about being a comedian, one of the good things about being a comedian is, when you're live doing the show, is feeding off the people's energy. Because there's been plenty of times where I've said something that I had no idea would have worked. I didn't even think it was a joke. It was just something that came off the top of my head. And the crowd just went crazy over it, and I was just able to expound on that. So just the energy of knowing that somebody is there laughing at it just makes it a lot better. And because of COVID, we don't have that. But, that's another reason why I kind of got more into skits at the moment, too.
So are you a full-time comedian, or were you before COVID and things just kind of changed?
So I was a full-time comedian before COVID, and I'm right back to where I was before COVID. So before COVID, I was working I'm not going to name the gym because, they probably not going to pay you for me mentioning them. Probably going to actually have to pay them if we mention them. So I'm not going to say their name, let's just say it's an initial of a city in California and fitness. So I was working for them for like 7 years, and I got to the point where I was doing comedy and working there at the same time. I was the personal training director, and I was like, I am making more money in one night than I am in my 2-week paycheck. So I'm like, I need to find a way to make this work. So I found a way to make it work. In 2019, September, I quit and was a full-time comedian, and things were lining up for me. I opened up for like Tony Roberts. I opened up for Brandon T. Jackson. I was actually supposed to be on the show with Lonnie Love and a gentleman named Brian McCree from Mad TV, but those shows got canceled because of COVID. Good old COVID.
Yeah, COVID messed up everybody. Threw all of us off our plans, but you definitely, I'm pretty sure you still have like all those connections, right?
Yeah, I still got those connections.
So it's still, I mean, I know it wasn't ideal, but like you could still, like hopefully when things get better, you know, now they have vaccine and everything coming out, you'll still be able to do some of that stuff or produce like your own like shows, or
yeah,
maybe do outdoor events and stuff when the summer comes up.
Yeah, most definitely. That's definitely something that's on the radar. I just gotta figure out a way to make it make sense, but yeah, most definitely. You know, especially after everybody else takes the vaccine. Yeah, no. They ain't about to turn
right,
me
you gotta be safe.
About to turn me to no mutant. I'm straight. Take that vaccine, I can move metal. Actually, I might take the vaccine if I can move metal. I don't know. That may be a thing. If it turns me to an X-Man, depending on which X-Man, if it give me like one of them regular like Professor X or, you know, I don't want to be Cyclops because I gotta wear sunglasses all the time. Magneto, I'll be straight as Magneto. Can't be Beast because I gotta still look the same. Or Nightcrawler because he got the tail.
You really thought about this.
Yeah, I really, because, you know, you got to cover all your bases. You never know
right.
what this vaccine may do. You know what I'm saying? It may be a mind control drug inside that vaccine. And I don't like being told what to do. So, you know, I'm what you call a contrarian. I don't do what I'm told. So, yeah. No, but I mean, everybody else can take it. That's all good and fine. I'm just not.
And then they just come to your comedy show and they stay like 10 feet away from you.
You know what I'm saying? Come to my comedy show as a mutant, brainwashed, doing whatever the government tells you to do. They tell you to laugh, then laugh. You know, they tell you not to, then, you know, sorry for me.
That's so funny. It's like, I mean, we all have been asked that question. Like, if we could choose a superpower, you know, what would we be, what we want. So I guess now we're about to see if we can get it, right?
Yeah. And like, I feel like that's a question that people ask and answer illogically. Because don't nobody pick a real logical superpower. What you gonna do with super strength? You work at Quick and Low. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, the only power that makes sense is the power to control time. Because you just wake up, supposed to be at work at 9 o'clock, but it's 8:59, you just freeze time. Now you got time to do everything you wanted to do on your off day, you can do it. Like, you can play that game of Madden, you know what I'm saying? Go to the store, buy some socks, some milk, whatever the case may be. You know, come home, play another game of Madden. But me personally, I feel like I still be late because I'm black. So I'll freeze time and just be like, Jason, still 5 minutes late. I'll probably be listening to some music and just playing around, just snapping my fingers, freezing and unfreezing. And next thing I know, it's 15 minutes late. It is what it is. But,
see, that's just abusing the power now.
I mean, who wouldn't abuse the power they got? Like, who about to hide a superpower in real life?
You know, you just use it in moderation.
Who? You gonna use a super? If you had the power to read minds, you gonna use that in moderation?
Oh, definitely. I don't want to know what's going on in everybody's mind.
Nah, you with your boyfriend, you go, or your man, or whoever.
You know, sometimes you just gotta be surprised.
Nah, second you see him on his phone, you just be around, just straight Malcolm X, just going on in his head.
Just, you know, step away. I gotta use the bathroom, you know?
Yeah, okay. And the mess up things, you gonna think he over there like messing with somebody or something like that. He just over there venting to his boy because he lost a game of 2K by 1 point. Like, I don't know if you ever lost a game of 2K by 1 point, but that is something to be upset about.
So we've identified all the challenges. But you're still here. You know, we're almost a year into COVID, being in this pandemic and still restricted, but you're still here. You're still on social media, you're still active. So what are things that you've been doing to make best use of this time?
I've been doing a lot of skits. I just got a TikTok like a month ago. I've been doing videos on Instagram. I've been really trying to focus on my social media. But I've also been trying to utilize all the streaming like platforms to be able to produce long form comedy content. Over the holiday season, I did a show called "Tis the Season," and it was on December 19th. On December 1st, all the way to the 19th, I grouped up with a bunch of different businesses in the city, and we did the 19 days of Christmas giveaways. So I gave something away to a random person on, well, it was a contest really. So it was like the business, let's say it was a photography business. I'll say this photographer is giving away a free photo shoot. You guys just got to go over there, hashtag "Tis the Season" for memories under their last post, and you're automatically entered. And then, you know, from there we gave away the photo shoot to a random person. I plan on doing more shows like that, utilizing because like I said before, I like the long form version of comedy than the quick. That's why it took me so long to get TikTok. So I am probably going to be doing more virtual shows of that nature until, once again, people get their superpowers from being vaccinated so I can be around them again. But yeah, until then, I'm trying to focus on maximizing the virtual shows because that's one thing that I feel like virtual stuff is not going to go anywhere. I think that's still going to be running in conjunction with live shows. And if I can find a way to maximize the virtual shows of some sort, not necessarily just straight up stand-up comedy, I'm not going to give you all my secrets because, you know, somebody may watch this and be like, oh, I'm going to try that and get it done before me. Nah, I'm joking. But if I can find a way to maximize the programs and the platforms for the streaming, I feel like I'll be I'll be able to tackle both lanes at the same time. I got into comedy not necessarily because I wanted to be out there. You know, that's part of it. You know, once I saw the first comedy special I actually watched, it was a Christian comedian named Jonathan Slocum. And he was up there talking about gospel, talking about church and stuff, making everybody laugh. I'm like, oh, you can do that and get money from it? But me, I've always been the person who likes to lift people's spirits because my mom passed away when I was 12. And I have 2 brothers and 3 sisters. 2 older brother, older sister, younger brother, and 2 younger sisters. And when she passed away, and everybody for like months was just like head down, just crying. I'm like, everybody can't be like this. Somebody got to be like raise the energy, be that person. So I just like letting people feel better, making people feel better, seeing people feel better. And once I was able to translate that outside of my house, like, you know, I was homeschooled all the way up till 9th grade. Only reason I went to school is because my mom passed away. Everybody else in my family was going to school already, but I'm low key a genius. Every time they tried to test me into a school, I would test like 2 grades ahead. And my mom was like, "You ain't about to stifle him with his, you know, in this curriculum." So they ended up putting me in, like, they said they were going to put me in the grade I was supposed to be in instead of the grade I tested in. And my mom was like, "Nope, you're going to stay at home until we can find you, a school that's going to put you where you should be." And then when she passed away, my dad was just like, "No, you're going to school now because you ain't about to be sitting at home with me." And so I ended up going to school, and I turned into that person who I was at home at school. Like everybody who, like when somebody was upset, whatever the case may be, I wasn't a class clown because my dad scared me, and I wasn't about to be, you know, the person who gets, you know, detention for telling a joke in the middle of class. But I was definitely the person who wanted to see everybody in good spirits, and that just has translated throughout my whole life. Everywhere I go, it's just like, this energy ain't about to stay here. Wherever I go, we gonna have fun. If you with me, we having fun. I don't care why you came or what drove you to came today, but you here, we gonna enjoy ourselves. And so once I was able to start doing comedy, and I saw I was really making people enjoy themselves, that's just really was like, you know what? Yep, this is exactly what I want to do. And kind of what drove me to personal training too. Like it was just for money at first until I signed this one lady up for training when I was working at that one gym that I don't want to say their name, and she was I did an assessment on her to just see where she was at and everything. She told me, like, literally, doctor told me I need to be here or something gonna happen to me. And you know, when you're selling personal training, they still tell you to sell, so they still give me sales tactics. I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm selling this lady something when she really needs it. So I gave her like the lowest price thing, and she was like, I still can't afford that. I'm on a fixed income, blah, blah, blah. She sat there for 30 minutes calling people from her phone to see if they could go in with her. Because I told her, like, if you find somebody else, y'all can go half and half. She sat there for 30 minutes until she found somebody who would go in with her to pay for the personal trainer. And then she sat there until they came up there to pay for the personal trainer. I'm just like, this is why I should be here. Not because of the paycheck, because I'm actually helping people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's what, you know, comedy and personal training give me that same feeling. I just enjoy it more doing comedy because people come there and they want to laugh. Some people come to work out. They don't want to work out. I'm still making them work out. They'll thank me later. They're not thanking me right then. So, yeah.
So with stand-up, like, I couldn't imagine doing stand-up. Like, I know some people say I'm funny in person, just like within conversation, but I couldn't imagine walking to a stage because somebody called my name and it's like hundreds of people, everybody just staring like, when's she gonna make me laugh? When's she gonna make me laugh? Like, I would just be like, I gotta go. Like, so what keeps you, like, doing that? What keeps you wanting to sign up for stand-up in particular? Like, that takes a lot of guts. That's a lot of courage to do that.
You know what's interesting is stand-up. I only got into stand-up because people kept telling me to do it. And the fact that people were saying it gave me the confidence to do it. I had no jokes when I first did stand-up comedy. I just went up there and talked for about I think they gave me 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes felt like an hour. Because, like, when you just talking and it's not funny, that's a totally different problem right there. Because so when you do stand-up comedy, there's a difference between somebody who just is a naturally funny person and a comedian, right? Because you can have a conversation with somebody and they have you cracking up. But a lot of the times that laughter comes from shock value. Like, you have no idea what they're going to say. You don't know they were going to say that. But when you go on stage and you're sitting in front, or you're standing in front of people who their whole purpose is, I'm here because you're supposed to make me laugh. Make me laugh. I'm expecting you to be funny now. You know, whatever you say is supposed to be funny. That's a different story. Luckily, the first time I went, there was nobody but my family and like 3 other people. And the first time I did stand-up comedy, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead to a question that you were going to have, but I feel like it's a perfect time to tell the story. The first time I did stand-up comedy, it was at a comedy club called Joey's Comedy Club. And it's no longer open, unfortunately. But I went, my entire time I went up there, I was just telling different scenarios. They weren't really jokes yet. They were just scenarios and premises. And I didn't know that at the time. And every last one of them was bombing. Every single one was bombing. I got a courtesy laugh here and there, a courtesy chuckle, but I literally heard somebody in the hallway cough. That's how quiet it was inside of there. Until the very last joke I said. The very last joke I said had everybody just like, ah, ah. I'm like, I think the person who coughed in the hallway came and looked in. It was like, who was that? But like, that was literally 30 seconds out of a 5-minute set. And so the fact that they laughed so hard at the end was like, okay, I got something. I just got to find a way to get them to do this for the entire 5 minutes instead of this little 30 seconds. But it definitely is very, when I first went up, because so many people were telling me I was funny in the first place, I had so much confidence that when I went up there, I wasn't nervous. I tend to be more nervous. I won't say nervous, but I tend to be more reserved in front of smaller crowds than larger crowds. Like, I'm way more comfortable in front of a bunch of people than I am in front of like a few people.
That is so opposite. I've never heard anyone say that they're more comfortable around a lot of people instead of small crowds. But I guess it makes sense. You have a lot more energy. You know, like, there's somebody in the crowd that has positive energy that I need to be funny and cultivate the vibes that's in the room. So that makes sense. So with everything that we talked about, like, I know you have a lot of plans coming up in the future. So what are like your long-term goals? I know you want to go back to be a full-time comedian once we get past this tough part of life. So what are some other things that you have down the line?
In 5 years, well, I definitely want to get back to on track of what I was doing. I have a show that I put together every year. It is called This Should Be a Comedy Special. And with that show, I take local comedians and I find a venue that is more comedy special-esque. Like if you were to go see like Kevin Hart or, Mike Epps or Dave Chappelle, like you'll see them typically in the theater. So I find the theater, I rent the theater out, get local comedians, bring them in. I host it typically, and I just let the comedians come in and do their things. They're comedians that are just as funny as the ones you see on TV, but you just haven't seen them on TV, So I want to expand on that. The plan was this year to take that show on the road. I had actually plans to come to Chicago with that show. I was going to find local comedians from Chicago that were just as funny, put them on the show, and then, go from there. So I want to expand on that. I also want to, once again, I feel like the virtual stuff is going to stick around for a while. So I do want to be able to maximize on that while it's still, going to be a thing. Because I definitely don't see it going away anytime soon. And then the other endeavors that I had to take up since COVID ruined my comedy for a year, I want to actually expand on those, but also get them to the point where I don't need to be doing them anymore. I want that to be more passive so I can be more hands-on on my comedy and entertainment. I also have a web series that I want to finish producing, writing and producing about my life during the quarantine, being a father, husband, comedian with no job, and now all of a sudden my wife turns into the breadwinner. And just all the struggles that come with it. And then I also have other scripts that I'm writing that I need to finish up, which I should have finished because I had plenty of time during the quarantine.
Well, you're doing great things, so I know that you're going to continue with everything that you have planned. I know it's going to happen. So with all of your experience so far and the route that you're headed, what advice would you give to aspiring comedians? I mean, I honestly thought entrepreneurship, or just doing things on your own, trying to brand yourself is hard altogether, but being a comedian, I just felt like that was definitely top 5, one of the hardest things you could ever do because it's so much branding to me that you have to do. You have to be funny. You have to make sure you're relating. You have to make sure that your tone, your posture, your look, all that stuff really matters being a comedian. So with that being said, what would you give to people high schoolers? It's hey, I want to be Dave Chappelle, or I want to be Kevin Hart. I want to be Brandon T. Jackson. What advice would you pass down to them?
I'll tell them don't do it. It's a dangerous game. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. You ain't never gonna see your family. Don't do it. Don't do it. Be a fisherman. Be an engineer, a doctor, anything but a comedian. No, I tell them just do it. Actually, that's the honesty of it. Is you just have to do it. If you feel like you can do it, do it. And you're right. It is. Being a stand-up comedian is one of the top fears because I believe public speaking is still the 3rd top fear in America or in the world, actually, public speaking. So being a public speaker and having to be funny at the same time, that's, just juggling chainsaws. So I would say just do it. Nobody really has the 100% answer to that question. Because what I ended up doing, my circumstances were different when I started comedy. So, I would say definitely learn how to write a joke. Don't think you can just go on there and be funny. How you deliver the joke is totally different, but the structure of the joke is always the same. If you watch Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Jerry Seinfeld, all of them, there's still a setup punchline, callback, all those things. They just may deliver them differently to where it seems like, some of them even seem like they're not even telling the joke. It sounds like they just went on stage and everything they're saying is stuff they just made up as they went on stage. But that's the way they wrote it. So I say make sure you learn how to write a joke properly. Do it. In my personal experiences, if you have a limited schedule, try to find a place where you can start your own comedy room because at that point, it's your room. You can do as much time as you want. You can practice as much as you want. If you do not, just, find the time to actually get out and start. That's really all I can say is just do it. If you feel like you can do it, you feel like you're funny enough for it, you feel like you got the chops, and, step into the jungle. You know what I'm saying? It's like walking in the jungle with a meat suit on. Hope the lions don't get you. It's more dangerous than the drug game, I'm trying to tell you. But, yeah, no. It is, but it isn't. Because, in real life, if you if you go on stage, a lot of people who, I don't want to say self-esteem issues, but a lot of people will go on there already nervous, and if it doesn't go the way they want it to go, it messes with people a lot of times. So if you got to really be thick-skinned, if you're a sensitive person, you can't necessarily, I wouldn't suggest being a comedian, because there's going to be shows where they don't go your way. The jokes that usually work don't work. You get a heckler that's just for whatever reason, just disrupting the show, and they don't, let them out. There's some very hard places to do comedy. There's decent places to do comedy, but there's also places where they're just trying to kind of make comedy fit in. So, you got to really be thick-skinned, have material, and don't expect to be Dave Chappelle on your very first time. That's the main thing, really. Don't expect to be hilarious your first time. If you are, great. Some people are LeBron and get it right away. Some people are JJ Redick, and it takes them years before they get into their groove. So but at the end of the day, if it's something you want to do, just do it. I'm a proponent of anybody. If there's anything you want to do it. Because if you don't do it, nothing gets done.
Well, that's the perfect advice to end it on. That's like perfect. You said it all. Just got to do it. So I appreciate you taking time to meet with me. We found out a lot. Like, definitely. Like, you provided so much insight that I never would have thought. Like, within being a comedian and stuff. And like I say, you're out here, you're doing it, you're keeping it going during this pandemic. So I definitely appreciate you taking time to meet with me. But where can everyone find you so they can see all the videos and the TikToks and all the virtual efforts that you've been putting in during this pandemic?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you for having me. This has been wonderful. I've been interviewed in a very long time. Thanks a lot, COVID. But you can find me at The Jason Experience, spelled just like it's spelled on the hoodie, at The Jason Experience on Twitter, not Twitter, I'm sorry, on Instagram and on TikTok, not Twitter. And then The Jason Experience on Facebook also.
Okay, awesome. So you all know that BP Ensemble, you know where to find them if you didn't catch that. On Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all platforms, BP Ensemble. We all need a little laughter. This is the perfect time for it. So if you didn't catch it, tell them where they can find you again.
You can find me on Facebook, The Jason Experience, spelled just like this. Also on Instagram and on TikTok. My MySpace has been shut down because the whole website has been shut down. And my Black Planet is still up. But I don't want to give that name because I was embarrassed. I was 16. It was a young time, and it was before puberty. So
when you find him, try not to judge him. We all make mistakes. It's okay, right? So once again, if you didn't catch his pages, once again, you can find him on BP Ensemble on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. All platforms, BP Ensemble. Once again, thank you so much for spending time with me.
Thank you.
And making me laugh. And thank you all for watching.